I'm Brittany, this is Lan Jen, and welcome to Gaywatch, where we watch gay things. And sometimes we read them. We are working our way through Volume 5 of Modao Zushe. We left off with the really awful, wonderful, incredible, sad, heroic, heartstrings pulling, infuriating revelation of Zheng Cheng having saved Wuxian back in the day. And we really don't have time. Hello, the bookmark just fell out. We don't really have time to unpack Zheng Cheng as a character. Or his relationship with Wuxian. That would take a few weeks. So we just get to absorb everything that dynamic throws at us and keep going. This is being treated like a live stream, even though it's not. It's pre-recorded because at some point in this novel, it's going to get real spicy, and they're a bit weird with live stream content guidelines. They're a little bit more strict than they are with just a regular recorded video, for reasons that I can kind of understand. You don't want people to just all of a sudden take a hard left turn on a stream, and then that would not be great. So, we are on page 139 of chapter 23. You noticed I coughed just a second ago. That's an asthma thing. We do our best to ignore it. It's one of the reasons why I have tea here. But other than that, I think that's about it. We do our best to get 50 pages each session, but if we wind up at 40, that's all right, that's fine. I'm deeply concerned because the chapter of this name, that was dead ass about to come out of my mouth. The chapter of this name. It's a good thing I don't have to read words for the next hour and a half minimum. Name of this chapter is Wangxian Forgetting Envy. And any chapter with their whole ass ship name in there, which is also the name of the song, but we haven't gotten there yet. We still have quite a bit narrative to get through, considering I don't think there are actually too many pages left of the main story before we get into the little short stories here and there. I'm babbling. Anyway, the beginning of chapter 23. Please excuse any sounds of any lawnmowers going on outside. Consider it like suburb ASMR. The sky had yet to lighten, and all was quiet on the long street. The only thing Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji could hear was the soft clip-clopping of the little spotted donkey's hooves. Riding on the beast's back, Wei Wuxian patted its behind. The saddlebag was hard and stuffed full of apples that the Lan Juniors had probably packed specifically for the donkey. As he stared at Lan Wangji's attractive profile, Wei Wuxian fished an apple from the bag and raised it to his mouth. The bite was unusually crisp. When Little Apple saw its apple so brazenly stolen, it angrily blew a heavy breath from its nostrils and kicked backward. Wei Wuxian, who had no time for that, slapped its behind a few more times before shoving the rest of the unfinished apple in its mouth. There's nothing I love more than the oblivious bisexual turning the corner and realizing it, and then just plowing headfirst ahead with no shame, no guilt, no second thoughts, just total obliviousness, and then heel turn into just total adoration and love. I'm fine. Like, what? Like, this is fine. This is fine. 0 to 60, real quick. Lan Zhan, did you know? Apparently Cici was a friend of Jin Guangyao's mother. I did not, Lan Wangji replied. Wei Wuxian didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the response. I think we still have to take a shot. Yeah, I mean, I realize not the same book series, but we got phrasing similar to it in a previous session. But that's the exact phrasing. In fact, it kind of fucks me up that we have the sentence Wei Wuxian didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the response. Because that's such a thing with having official's blessing and seeing Shi Lian and something about seeing Wei Wuxian. I might be a fangirl for MXTX. I don't know if you picked up on that. That was a rhetorical question. I saw it during my session of empathy with that vengeful female spirit back at the Guanyin Temple. Cece took good care of the two of them back then, both mother and son. After a brief silence, Lan Wangji said, "Surely that is why Jing Guangyao let her live." Ooh, let's not skip ahead pages. Hello. I would like to read you. Can you separate for me, please? God, it's like Wei Ying and Lan Zhan at this point. Jesus! Separate. Yes. Okay. Probably, Wei Wuxian agreed. I was afraid Zhou Jun would get soft-hearted again, so I didn't tell him the reason Jing Guangyao spared her. I don't think now is a good time to tell him either. Should he inquire in the future, I will inform him, Lan Wangji said. That's probably best. Wei Wuxian glanced back, then heaved a rare sigh of complaint. I don't want to deal with any more of these random messes, he groaned. I guess it is what it is. Lan Wangji nodded. He reined Little Apple in a bit and continued down the road. Everyone had their own problems that no one but they could solve. Even when it came to blood-related brothers, there was nothing Lan Wangji could do right now to help Lan Qichen. Any consolation would be powerless to help, and anything he did would be in vain. Ow. You ever been there? You ever had like a really close friend or like a relative or someone just very close to you go through a fucking shit time and there's really nothing you can do about it, but just got like nothing. It's one of those things where there's just nothing that another person could do. It sucks. I'm really feeling Lan Zhan's getting a bit relatable right now. That feeling fucking sucks. It's so painful. And then you feel bad because you're like, well, what I'm going through is literally nothing compared to what they're going through. So like, why the fuck am I? It's a whole goddamn mess. Lan Wangji paused for a moment, then said, Wei Ying. What? Wei Wuxian answered. There is something I never told you. Here we go! Wei Wuxian's heart skipped a beat. Oh god, I can't take this whole everybody knows how everybody else feels and now we're just gay. Lan Wangji stopped to look him in the eyes, but just as he was about to speak, there came the sound of hurried running behind them. God damn it, how have people caught up to us already? Wei Wuxian griped. Someone had indeed caught up, but fortunately, it wasn't anyone too awful. Lan Sizhui panted as he ran up to them. I am fine. I will maintain. I am okay. Hangwan Jun! Wei Chenbei! Wei Wuxian propped his arms on the donkey's head. Sizhui, my boy! I'm eloping with your clan's Hangwan Jun. Is that like a translation thing? By eloping, that wouldn't happen to mean just like, you know, taking off on a journey with or anything, would it? If there's been like a marriage that happens at the end of this that I did not know about, because obviously you wouldn't be able to put that in a live action show in China. Okay. What are you following us for? Aren't you scared of being yelled at by Lan Lao Shanshang? Ooh! Not bad for a filthy American. Lan Sizhui blushed. Wei Chenbei, don't be like that. I only came because I have a very important question to ask. And what's that? Wei Wuxian asked. I remembered some bits and pieces of my past, but I couldn't be sure, so I came here to confirm them. So I came here to. I'm too excited about the potential eloped. So I came here to confirm them with Han Wangjun and Wei Chenbei. Lan Wangji looked at him, then looked at Wen Ning. Wen Ning nodded. What is it? Wei Wuxian asked. Lan Sizhui squared his shoulders, puffed his chest, and drew in a deep breath, because he is the best boy. You call yourself an excellent cook, but everything you make burns both the eyes and the stomach. Ease into it! Wei Wuxian was flabbergasted. Huh? You buried me in the radish patch and told me that some sun and water would help make me grow faster and taller, and that more kids would sprout and play with me, Lan Sizhui added. Wei Wuxian was speechless. You said you were going to treat Han Wangjun to a meal, but in the end you ran off without paying the bill, Lan Sizhui continued. Han Wangjun was still the one who paid. Wei Wuxian's eyes widened. He was on the verge of falling off the donkey. You know, I am actually kind of sad that in the show version, he was already standing on the ground, if I remember correctly. I believe he was. He was already off of Apple and, like, the comedic potential. Lan Sizhui stared squarely at Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji. Maybe I was too young back then. There are a lot of things I don't fully remember, but I am absolutely certain that I used to be surnamed Wen. Surnamed Wen? Wei Wuxian's voice was trembling. Aren't you surnamed Lan? Lan Sizhui? Lan Yuan? Lan Yuan? Wen Yuan? Oh my god. This is the rudest fucking art I've seen in the entire series. I am angry. I feel nothing but pure rage and no other emotion. We'll get there. Hang on. Lan Sizhui gave a hard nod, his voice also shaking. Wei Chenbei, I'm Ayuan. Wei Wuxian had yet to wrap his head around it all. Ayuan, he asked in a daze. Didn't Ayuan die? He wound up all alone on the burial mounds. He trailed off as Lan Shichen's words echoed in his ears. It has been said that he spent those years facing the wall in reflection. In truth, he was too injured to do any such thing. And even so, when he learned of your death, he had to go to the burial mounds to see for himself, forcibly dragging his body there in such a state. He whipped his head around to face Lan Wangji. Lan Jian, was it you? Yes, Lan Wangji admitted. He gazed at Wei Wuxian. We know what that means. That is what I never told you. Wei Wuxian couldn't speak for the longest time. You know what? This kind of proves my theory, because she went out of the way to have a situation like this. A little boy trapped in the burial mounds all alone. If he had been left all alone, we're looking at a really we're looking at a potential villain there, to put it mildly. Nobody, burial mounds, left all alone for like years, for like the rest of his development. I mean, Wei Wuxian spent 3 months there, and he had a time flirting with that line for a little bit. Again, to put it mildly. But like a little boy, presuming he somehow like survived in some kind of fucked up way, that would have been fucking awful. That would have been like the big bad of some series type of background trauma shit, right? But that's not what happened. Lan Wangji found him. And because he did, and was therefore, given the love and attention that he deserves from, one of his dads, he turned out fine. He turned out more than fine. He turned out to be the best boy, right? I'm saying all of this because I have firmly believed that if we had caught Jin Guangyao early enough, this entire book could have been averted. Which is why I'm so fond of the idea of, technically it falls under fix-it fic, of fanfic where he meets Shi Chen early enough in his timeline for it to really matter and really affect his development, right? I love that idea. And I love that MXTX kind of backs me up in that theory by giving an example out of many between Wei Wuxian, Jin Guangyao, and Shu Yang. We have three very different origin stories, but they all have things in common in terms of facing trauma, having to face it alone, being at the bottom of the social ladder and what that does to a person, and having, just like Wei Wuxian was saved from the streets by being taken in by his adoptive family, so was then his own son by the man who would be his husband. I gave my own damn self too many emotions to handle. If I fathom any more, my throat's gonna close. You get what I'm saying. I feel a little validated and also personally attacked by myself, which is a strange emotion. The coughing really does usually ease up eventually. Finally, Lan Sizhui couldn't hold back anymore and leapt over with a cry. He caught Wei Wuxian with one arm while his other caught Lan Wangji, and he pulled the three of them together into a tight hug. Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji were both startled by the sudden embrace. Lan Sizhui buried his head on their shoulders. Hang Wenjun, Wei Chenbei, his voice was muffled. Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji, who were only inches away from each other, exchanged a look. They both saw something very soft in each other's eyes. Wei Wuxian pulled himself together. He pulled himself together and patted Lan Sizhui on the back. All right, don't cry. I'm trying really hard, man. I'm not. I just suddenly feel so sad, but so happy too. I don't know how to describe it. After a brief silence, Lan Wangji also patted him on the back. Then do not worry about it, he said. Look at this fucking family! Look at the art of this fucking family. Look at it. Look. Oh, with the field and Wending and Apple in the background and... Oh. We gotta move on from this bullshit. It's making me too soft. Ugh. Yeah, Wei Wuxian agreed. Lan Sizhui responded by hugging the two tighter. It didn't take long before Wei Wuxian protested. Hey, child, why are your arms so strong, as I'd expect of someone taught by Hang Wenjun himself? Lan Wangji gave him a look. You have taught him as well. No wonder he's so well brought up, Wei Wuxian commented. Oh. Oh. Uh, he's such a little shit. However, Lan Sizhui disagreed. No, Wei Chunbei never taught me. Says who? Wei Wuxian protested. You were too little, that's all. You forgot everything I taught you. I didn't. I remember it now. I think you did teach me in the past, Lan Sizhui said. See? You taught me how to disguise erotica as regular books, Lan Sizhui said. Seriously? I am imagining the deadpan. Lan Wangji gave Wei Wuxian another look. Lan Sizhui continued on. You also taught me that when a beautiful girl walks by... What a load of nonsense, Wei Wuxian interrupted. Child, is that all you remember? Please, as if I teach that stuff to kids. Lan Sizhui looked up. Ning Shishu stands as my witness. He was also there when you taught me all that stuff. Witness to what? Nothing of the sort happened, Wei Wuxian insisted. I don't remember anything, Wen Ning said. Lan Sizhui turned to Lan Wangji. Han Wenjun, everything I said is true. Lan Wangji gave a nod. I know. Lan Zhen! Wei Wuxian was about to make a scene and roll around on the donkey's back. But then he thought of something and instead asked, Speaking of which, what triggered your memories, Sizhui? I'm not sure, Lan Sizhui replied. Just that when I saw Chen Qing, it felt incredibly familiar. Wei Wuxian suspected it had been Chen Qing. Of course you'd be familiar with that thing. You used to love chewing on it, always drooling all over it. There were times I couldn't even play it, thanks to you. Lan Sizhui turned red at once. Really? Wei Wuxian grinned with glee. Yeah, why else would seeing it bring back your memories? Do you want to hear more stories from when you were little? He gestured with his hands, miming two butterflies. Hang Wenjun, do you remember the time I treated you to food, and he was holding those two butterflies and muttering to himself, I like you too. No! That's so cute! Lan Sizhui was blushing even harder by the minute. Oh yeah, you even called Han Wenjun your daddy in public. Poor Han Wenjun, an upstanding, chaste young man in the bloom of his youth, became a father so suddenly. Lan Sizhui blushed heavily as he cried, Hey Wenjun, I'm sorry! Lan Wangji looked at the giggling Wei Wuxian and shook his head. There was nothing but softness in his expression. What did I say about softness? Ugh. It's the fluff that'll kill you. Said it before, I will say it always. Lan Wangji... Oh yeah, Wen Ning. You knew about this already? Wei Wuxian asked. Wen Ning nodded. Wei Wuxian was stunned. Then why didn't you tell me? Wen Ning stole a glance at Lan Wangji before replying cautiously. Lan Wangji didn't say that I should tell you, so... Wei Wuxian was indignant. Why are you so obedient to him? You're the Ghost General. Why is the Ghost General scared of Han Wenjun? Isn't that embarrassing for me? Lan Sizhui was still crying. Han Wenjun, I'm sorry. The four parted ways at the woods near the edge of Yanping City. Gongji, we will be heading this way, Wen Ning said. Where to? Wei Wuxian asked. Didn't you ask me what I'd do after everything was over? Wen Ning said. I discussed it with Ayuan. We will go to Qishan and bury our family's ashes there. We were also thinking about searching the area to see if we can find anything that once belonged to my sister while she was alive, so we can build a cenotaph in her honor. As she deserves. I mean, she deserves to be fucking alive, but I'll take what I can get. I built one for the two of you at the burial mounds, but it was burnt down, Wei Wuxian said. We'll make a trip to Qishan too. He turned to Lan Wangji, but before he could ask for the latter's opinion, Wen Ning declined. No, it's fine. Taken aback, Wei Wuxian asked, You don't want us to come with? Lan Sizhui quickly chimed in. Wei Chunbei, just go with Han Wenjun. Please! Wei Wuxian wanted to say more, but Wenning said, "Really, it's fine. Wei Gongji, you have done enough." After a brief pause, Wei Wuxian asked, "What will you do after you've finished all that?" "Send Ayuan back to the cloud recesses," Wenning replied. "Then I can take my time pondering what to do next. As for what follows, let me go my own way." Wei Wuxian nodded slowly. "Just as well." This was the first time in many years that Wenning would not be walking the same road as him. He had made up his own mind. Perhaps, Wei Wuxian thought, he now had things he wanted to do. It was the same thing Wei Wuxian had always wanted. Everyone had their own path to take. Yet now that the day was finally here, it was a little saddening to watch Wenning and Lan Sizhui's backs gradually get farther and farther away until they disappeared. The only person left at his side was Lan Wangji. How very fortunate, then, that Lan Wangji was also the only person he wanted beside him. "Lan Zhan," Wei Wuxian called. You've taught him well," Wei Wuxian remarked. "There will be many more opportunities to meet in the future." "I know. Once Wenning brings Sizhui back to the cloud recesses, we can settle nearby and see him regularly." Wei Wuxian looked at him. "Lan Zhan, are you scared of me thanking you? It suddenly occurred to me that I said thank you every time we parted ways in my past life, and each time we'd meet again, I would always be in a worse state than before. The killing of Wen Chao and Wen Julio at the post station, the encounter in Young Meng at the flower-tossing terrace, their goodbye at the Yiling burial mounds. Each time, he'd use the phrase to draw a clear line between himself and Lan Wangji, and put greater distance between them." Lan Wangji spoke after a long silence. "Between you and I, there is no need to say thank you or sorry." Wei Wuxian chuckled at that. "All right, then let's say some other things, like..." He lowered his voice and gestured for Lan Wangji to come closer, as if he wanted to whisper in his ear. Sure enough, Lan Wangji approached. Unexpectedly, Wei Wuxian reached out and tilted his chin up before leaning down to press a kiss to his lips. Stop. I'm already dead." It was a long time before Wei Wuxian moved away slightly. You have places to be, kind of, not really." His eyelashes brushed against Lan Wangji's own as he asked in a low voice, "How's that?" Literally just an ellipsis, as Lan Wangji's replied. "Give me a reaction, Hang Wanjun," Wei Wuxian prompted. Another ellipsis. "So stoic. With the mood like this, shouldn't you be violently pinning me to the ground?" "Do not invite something you ain't ready to take, boy." Before he could finish, Lan Wangji circled his hand around the back of Wei Wuxian's neck and hooked him over in one rough movement to forcefully press the two of them together once more. Little Apple was shaken. It even stopped chewing the apple in its mouth and froze as stiff as a wooden toy. It wasn't long before the donkey could no longer carry Wei Wuxian. Lan Wangji wound one arm around his back, put the other under his knees, and in one swift movement swept him off of the little spotted donkey. Wei Wuxian was then pinned to the ground and brutally kissed by Lan Wangji. Just like he wanted. But all of a sudden, he broke the kiss. "Wait a sec, hang on." "What?" Lan Wangji asked. Wei Wuxian squinted. I suddenly got the feeling that the woods, the bushes, the wild grasses, the forceful action, and the entangling tongues, hello. It was like deja vu. Oh my god, are we gonna connect dots? He thought for a moment, and the more he did so, the more he I'm too excited. The more he did so, the more this felt familiar for some reason. He felt he had to ask, so he ventured carefully. During the siege hunt at Mount Baifeng, the time I was blindfolded, Lan Zhan, did you? He didn't finish the question, nor did Lan Wangji answer, but his fingers curled slightly. The instant Wei Wuxian noticed the strangeness of his expression, he propped himself up and pressed his ear to Lan Wangji's chest. Sure enough, he heard wild, violent thumping. Wei Wuxian was shocked to his core. Oh, it really was you! Lan Wangji gulped nervously. Wei Wuxian couldn't believe it. Lan Zhan, you do something like that? You really can't judge a book by its cover. Did you know? I always thought it was some shy female cultivator who had a secret crush but was too scared to tell me, Wei Wuxian added. You've harbored improper thoughts about me for that long? Wei Wuxian asked. At the time, I was aware it was wrong of me. Very wrong of me, Lan Wangji mumbled. Wei Wuxian remembered that Lan Wangji had been punching trees alone in the woods when he found him later. So that's why you were so angry? And Wei Wuxian had thought he was mad at him. As it turned out, he was mad at himself, mad at his own momentary impulses, mad at his own inability to maintain self-control, mad that he had taken advantage of the situation. It was not how a gentleman should conduct himself, and more importantly, it went against his family's motto. Seeing how low Lan Wangji hung his head, as if he'd started to reflect on his past behavior again, Wei Wuxian tickled him under his chin. Fucking stop. Oh, come on, why so conflicted? So you already kissed me long ago. I'm over the moon with happiness. That was my first kiss, you know. Congrats, Hang Wangjun. Lan Wangji abruptly looked at him. First kiss? Yeah, Wei Wuxian replied. Why? What did you think? Lan Wangji gazed at him unblinkingly with a strange, subtle shimmer in his eyes. Then what? Wei Wuxian prompted. Hesitating over your words isn't your style, Lan Zhan. Then you... At the time, why... Lan Wangji asked haltingly. Wei Wuxian was curious. Why what? Lan Wangji moved his lips. Why did you not fight back? Wei Wuxian was taken aback. You clearly did not know the other party, so why did you not fight back? Lan Wangji grumbled. And afterward, why did you tell me that... Tell him what? Wei Wuxian finally remembered. Jesus, God in heaven. He had already been crowned king of the disaster bisexuals, so like there's nowhere to promote him to. But if there was, after Wei Wuxian had met Lan Wangji by accident at Mount Baifeng, he'd smugly boasted on and on about how he was so experienced, that no one would dare kiss Lan Wangji, and that there must be no one Lan Wangji would kiss either. He'd even said that Lan Wangji would never be able to give away his first kiss in this lifetime. He burst out in wild, earth-shattering laughter, hugging his belly and pounding the ground with his fist. Lan Wangji was speechless. Still roaring with laughter, Wei Wuxian hugged him and gave him a smacking kiss on the lips. After all that fuss, what you were actually angriest about was that I'd apparently kissed someone else before. You're so silly, Lan Zhan. You really believe the fucking bullshit I spew? Only a little stick in the mud like you would believe any of it. His mocking was too loud, too excessive. Finally, unable to contain himself any longer, Lan Wangji pinned him to the ground again. Leaving Little Apple where it was, the entwined couple, stumbled behind a thick... Hang on. Stumbled behind a thicket. Hang on. The rain had only recently cleared up, and the water droplets, still clinging to the grass, dampened Lan Wangji's white robes. But those robes were quickly stripped away by Wei Wuxian. Shut the fuck up. Is it happening? Don't move, he whispered. The scent of fresh grass surrounded Wei Wuxian's neck and lips, while Lan Wangji emanated the cool fragrance of sandalwood. He kneeled between Lan Wangji's legs and pressed his lips to his forehead before tracing a path down with further kisses. No! From between his eyebrows to the tip of his nose, his cheeks, his lips, his chin, downward to the curve of his throat, to the bend of his neck, to his heart. With infinite veneration did he travel the highs and lows. It's the metaphor. As his kisses reached Lan Wangji's toned abdomen, you don't have to tell me twice, boy, we know, we are aware, and continued downward, strands of hair slipped past Wei Wuxian's shoulders. The locks of his hair, accompanied by the small puffs of his breath, brushed and teased this dangerous territory. Lan Wangji reached out to push his shoulders back, as if he could endure no more. Oh, honey, this was not the only thing that Wei Wuxian has planned. Wei Wuxian caught his wrist. Hey, don't move. Like I said, allow me. He tugged his hair ribbon loose, then retied his long hair before bending his head down again. Like any smart bottom, you know? Seeing what he was about to do, Lan Wangji grew a little flustered and objected quietly. No. Yes, Wei Wuxian countered, then gently captured Lan Wangji with his lips. Oh, it's happening. Not the capital I it? Not yet. But, I would not have placed a sexual encounter following the best boy reveal. But here we are. Mindful of his teeth, good boy, he carefully took him into his mouth. Also good boy. He swallowed as deep as he could until he felt him hit the back of his throat. Very good boy, which was a little uncomfortable. God, isn't it? Immediately sensing his discomfort, Lan Wangji made to push him away, worried that Wei Wuxian was forcing himself. No, stop. Wei Wuxian pushed his hand away and began to slowly bob up and down. You gotta stop underestimating the disaster buys. Lan Wangji started, but any further words quickly became caught in his throat. The sum total of illustrated erotica Wei Wuxian had looked at over the years could fill an entire section of the Lan clan's room of forbidden books. Furthermore, he was also a very smart man. Extrapolating from what he'd read, he worked the hard... we've run into a personal, tick isn't the right word. Squick isn't the right word. A personal, opinion? Because, hello, where'd it go? Because describing it as a hard, hot member, specifically, not a fan of the word. I just think there are better words out there, but I'm getting hung up on the details a little bit too much. Remember, in his mouth with his lips and tongue, to have the most sensitive part of him engulfed entirely within a warm, wet cavity, and lavished with such tender attention, it was sheer torture for Lan Wangji. I'm surprised he hasn't already shot, to be honest, who could barely keep himself from losing control and doing something violent. Like, that wouldn't be taken with joy. Received with joy. When he heard Lan Wangji begin to heave increasingly harsh breaths, Wei Wuxian sped up. The fingers gripping his shoulder dug in harder. Just as his neck and jaw were starting to get sore from the effort, he finally felt a burst of something hot shoot down his throat. I mean, get the job done, Wei Wuxian. The fluid was sticky, scalding, and had a thick, musky flavor, and is also one of the most disgusting substances on the fucking planet. But it's fine. It's okay. The suddenness of it made Wei Wuxian choke violently for a second. This is taking me back to the first time I gave a blowjob, and let me tell you, that is a good 5 minutes of stand-up comedy right there. He immediately spat out the huge member in his mouth and pulled back to cough. Lan Wangji patted his back, surprisingly at a loss for what to do. Spit it out quickly. Pressing his hand over his mouth, Wei Wuxian shook his head. After a moment, he took his hand away and stuck his tongue out at Lan Wangji, then opened his mouth to show him. All swallowed. I could never do that in a million years. So I actually have a certain level of, like, respect for those who can. And, like, damn, Lan Wangji, get you a man. Get you a fucking man. The tip of his tongue was a vibrant red, and his lips were the same luscious hue. The smiling corners of his mouth were stained with traces of cum. Yeah. Lan Wangji stared at him in a daze, unable to utter a single word. He was the most ascetic of all distinguished cultivators, but his usual aloofness and composure had been shattered. Well, yeah. He was dyed a blushing shade of peach from the corners of his eyes to the ends of his eyebrows, adding to his charm. So they both look fetching as hell right now, just albeit for very different reasons. He looked like he'd just been horribly bullied, and Wei Wuxian couldn't have loved this look more. Arms still bare, he wrapped them around Lan Wangji's shoulders and dropped a light kiss at the corner of his mouth, then another on his brow. Good boy. Don't let this scare you. Next time I'll let you blow me. Make sure you do it as well as I did, okay? It's just so relentlessly in character. His lips were, still stained with cum, which I imagine a little distracting. Which the kiss smeared on the corner of Lan Wangji's mouth, too. I have a squick about that. But we are aggressively reading past it. Coupled with the dazed expression on his face, this made for a pitiful yet adorable image that tugged at Wei Wuxian's heart. He gave him another smacking kiss on the lips and murmured, God, I love you so much, Lan Zhan. Lan Wangji slowly gazed at him. Maybe it was his imagination, but Wei Wuxian thought his eyes were slightly red. Well, yeah, now you brought emotion into it. This poor man... This poor overwhelmed man. He had yet to notice the look of forced endurance in Lan Wangji's eyes, a sign that he was on the verge of losing control. Thinking perhaps he still hadn't had enough, Wei Wuxian's like, oh, you're on the edge? Why haven't you been pushed over by now? Here, let me do something else. Disaster. Wei Wuxian cupped the growing heat on Lan Wangji's lower body and began to slowly stroke it up and down. Let's stay like this forever from now on, okay? You're going to kill him. You haven't even married him yet. Unless this is the marriage ceremony, in which case. All of a sudden, Lan Wangji tackled him and pinned him to the grass once more. The world spun, and in an instant the two had switched positions. Feeling Lan Wangji biting at him again, Wei Wuxian moved to push his head away as he laughed. Why are you so impatient? I said next time you can... There was an abrupt jab of pain from his lower body that elicited an ah from his lips. He frowned slightly. Okay, sorry, I had to be like, he didn't. There are steps that you usually need to take. Not always, but usually. And for a second there, I thought Wang Xi had just skipped a usually important step in the procedure. But no, he didn't. Although now it gets to happen. Everybody sit down. Everybody shut up. It's finally happening. There was an abrupt jab of pain from his lower body that elicited an ah from his lips. He frowned slightly. Lan Zhan, what did you just shove in me? It was only a rhetorical question, since he could already tell. It was a long, slender finger. Steps typically matter. He closed his legs reflexively, but the odd feeling of something foreign inside him grew stronger when a second finger followed. Ooh, we're not wasting any time. I mean, if anybody deserves to not waste time, it is Lan Wangji. You know? Wei Wuxian had once been a hot-blooded young man who'd read countless volumes of erotica, but he had never read anything homoerotic. He'd never imagined he'd wind up developing a taste for such things, and therefore had no urge to explore it. And so he'd been under the impression that lovemaking between men basically involved some kissing, some hugging, and maybe some use of mouth and hands. He'd never investigated further. It was only now, being pinned to the ground by... Then how does Lan Wangji know? It was only now, being pinned to the ground by Lan Wangji and stretched bit by his fingers, that he dimly realized their options might not be as limited as he'd thought. Aside from the minor discomfort, he felt shock tinged with amusement, but by the time a third finger joined in, he could not smile anymore. That's usually when things get a little bit serious, yeah. He was already uncomfortably full, but 3 fingers were still far from that which he'd swallowed earlier. Oh! What a way to realize. Ooh. Iconic, legendary, never been done before, I will never be the same, etc., etc. Hello. I just violently knocked myself off track. Hang on. There we go. Wei Wuxian rambled aloud, unable to stop himself. Lan Zhan, can you calm down for a sec? You're gonna stick it there. You're sure you're not mistaken? Is that the right place? I think maybe it's not quite. I mean, yeah, if you've never seen any gay porn or read any gay porn or talked about sex with any guy who's had sex with another guy, right? If you are completely uninformed, then the size comparison of the preparation versus what was just down your throat, highly realistic. The kind of minor freak out where you're like, I don't think that's how that works. I don't think that can't possibly be real, right? It's like when you very initially contemplate like how babies are born. You're like, how does this come out of that? Like, this doesn't seem like it's possible. And yet. But it didn't seem like Lan Wangji was able to hear a word he said anymore. He cut Wei Wuxian off with a rough kiss, lowered himself on top of him, and pushed inside. It was only the head, but Wei Wuxian's eyes went unbelievably wide as his legs jerked upward and his knees bent. Their bodies were pressed tightly together. They were breathless, and their hearts beat like drums. When Lan Wangji next spoke to apologize, his voice was shattered. Ooh, stop. Don't. Stop. Of all the things they're doing right now, it's the description of Lan Wangji's voice, wrecked voice, that gets me. We're learning a lot about each other right now, I feel. That's fine. Come on in. It's fine. Sorry, I couldn't hold back anymore. Seeing how red his eyes had become after suffering so long under restraint, Wei Wuxian clenched his teeth. If you can't, then don't. So, what do I do now? He was actually asking him for advice. A drowning man will clutch at straws. Relax, Lan Wangji answered. And that is the correct answer. Wei Wuxian mumbled to himself, okay, relax. I'll relax. He'd only managed to loosen up a tiny bit before Lan Wangji tried to push inside. The muscles of Wei Wuxian's buttocks, ass, what have you, and abdomen tensed, and a broken moan escaped his throat. Mm-hmm. Does it hurt very much? Lan Wangji asked. Wei Wuxian hugged him, his body shaking uncontrollably. Teary-eyed, he said, yeah, it hurts. It's my first time. Of course it hurts. As soon as he said that, he felt the thing inside him grow harder. I mean, the degree to which it is fetishized in the country in which I live is gross, but there's something to be said about first-time experiences. I'm just throwing that out there. They keep knocking me clear off course. Something hard and foreign was penetrating his soft and vulnerable insides. It was easy to imagine how it felt, but Wei Wuxian snorted and laughed out loud when such a simple response made the self-possessed Hang Wanjun lose control of his body. You are his queer berserk button, you know? Being a man himself, he knew how awful Lan Wangji had to feel right now, being stuck like this. Yeah. Despite his predicament, he was still being considerate of Wei Wuxian's comfort instead of just forcing himself all the way inside. Because this man is a good top. You know what I'm saying? This service top is like none other, as we are now viscerally learning. Wei Wuxian's heart melted, and he reached out and hooked Lan Wangji's neck down to whisper in his ear, Lanjian, good Lanjian, Ergaga, let me tell you what to do. Kiss me. Kiss me now, and it won't hurt anymore. Lan Wangji's fair earlobe burned bright red. Ooh. Stop calling me that. He gritted out with difficulty. Yeah. If you keep doing that, he's not gonna get a chance to get all the way inside, you know? Wei Wuxian laughed at the stammer. You don't like it? Then let me change it up. Wang Jididi, Jenair, Hengwan, which one do you like? I love him so much. Lan Wangji bit Wei Wuxian's lips as he drove all the way inside. This is such quintessential, just top bottom dominant submissive behavior that, like, this is the blueprint. This is so almost god archetypal, like, and that's where I live a lot of the time, so I'm deeply appreciating this right now. All of Wei Wuxian's cries were sealed in his throat. He gripped Lan Wangji's shoulders tightly, his brow furrowed deeply, tears trickling from the corners of his eyes. His legs were locked in place around Lan Wangji's waist, and he was afraid to move even a single limb. Lan Wangji regained himself a little, heaving a few breaths before he apologized. Oh, honey, you ain't got nothing to... Sorry. Wei Wuxian shook his head and forced a smile. Like you said, there's never any need to say that between us. I don't think that was the context he imagined. But that's a good point. Lan Wangji tentatively leaned in to kiss him, somewhat clumsy in his movements. Wei Wuxian squinted with happiness and opened his mouth to allow him deeper access. He hooked his tongue and intertwined it with Lan Wangji's. Ooh, fucking stop. Amidst this haze, his eyes traveled to the brand just beneath Lan Wangji's collarbone. He placed his hand over the scar and his smile faded. Lan Zhan, tell me. Now? Now! We're gonna do this now? Does this also have something to do with me? After a brief silence, Lan Wangji replied, It is nothing. I was lost to drink at the time. After escorting Wei Wuxian back to the burial mounds, what had awaited Lan Wangji was 3 years of confinement. However, during that period had come the news that what went around came around, that evil did not go unpunished, that the Yiling patriarch was finally dead. Dragging his horribly injured body, Lan Wangji had rushed to Yiling and searched the mountain for days. Although he had found the unconscious, feverish Wen Yuan tucked inside the hollow of a scorched tree, he had found nothing of Wei Wuxian, not even a bone, a chunk of flesh, or a frail wisp of soul. On his way back to the Lan clan of Gusu, Lan Wangji had bought a jug of Emperor's Smile in Sai Town. The liquor had been ambrosial and rich. It was clearly not heavily spiced, but it burned his throat all the same, burned all the way up to the rims of his eyes and down into the depths of his heart. Ow! Man, we were in the middle of fucking... I hate her. He hadn't liked the taste, but he had sort of understood why a certain person had liked it. That night had been the very first time Lan Wangji had drunk alcohol, and likewise, the very first time he had gotten drunk. He had no memory of what he'd done in his inebriated state, but everyone in the Lan clan had looked at him with disbelief for a long time afterward, whether they were juniors or sect disciples. Some had said that he'd smashed open an ancient room in the cloud recesses that night and rummaged through it, overturning everything in the chamber as if in search of something. Even Lan Xichen had questioned him. He had been at a loss. Eyes blank, he had asked his brother for a flute. Lan Xichen had found a fine flute made of white jade and brought it to him, but Lan Wangji had only hurled it aside in anger. It wasn't the one he wanted, and he couldn't find that one anywhere. Then, all of a sudden, he had spotted the iron branding rods which had been collected from the Wen clan of Qishan and locked away. When Lan Wangji had sobered up, his chest bore the same wound that Wei Wuxian had gained inside the cave of the Xuanwu of Slaughter. Lan Qiren had looked very sad and very angry, but in the end he had not reprimanded him further. Reprimands, punishments, there had been enough of those. He had sighed and stopped fighting Lan Wangji's decision to keep Wen Yuan. Lan Wangji had bowed, assigned himself punishment of his own accord, and silently kneeled for 1 day and 1 night. Inside the cloud recesses, we were fucking! Damn it! He had drunk the liquor he had drunk. He had suffered the injury he had suffered. By now, that wound had been scarred over for 13 years. Lan Wangji began to thrust it. I'm lightheaded. Fucking God. Why? Why? I hate her. I hate her. I hate her so much. There are so few writers who I hate this much. What the fuck? Ah! Whiplash. All right. Lan Wangji began to thrust in and out while Wei Wuxian shut his eyes and gasped for breath through his clenched teeth, adjusting his breathing to the rhythm of Lan Wangji's hips. You kind of have no choice but to do that. Am I right, or did I just give something away about myself? When he had grown somewhat accustomed to the invasion of that foreign body, he unconsciously began to twist his waist. Which direction? A sudden pleasure numbed his lower half as a tingling sensation crawled up his spine and spread throughout his entire body. All of a sudden, Wei Wuxian discovered how to enjoy himself in this position. His limbs, his body, his breath, every part of him had melted into a wanton puddle. Wei Wuxian dug his hands into Lan Wangji's long hair, which was drenched with sweat, and smiled as he toyed with his forehead ribbon. We knew that Wei Wuxian would be good at dirty talk. Because the thing about dirty talk is that you can't try too hard. You can't go. It's simplicity. It's almost subtlety, but not really, because it's like the it's a fine line for like really good dirty talk, you know? And of course, not only would Wei Wuxian be good at it, but he would be good at it almost right out of the gate. So this surprises no one. And yet, does it feel good inside me? He cooed in a tender voice. Do you want this to last another 5 seconds? Wuxian? When it came to this sort of endeavor, Lan Wangji was a man of action, not a man of words. He had no idea how to flirt. He worked hard and spoke little, so he bit Wei Wuxian's bottom lip and redoubled his thrusting to answer the question. Wei Wuxian was sweating profusely from the power of his movements. Lan Zhan, I like you so much. This boy. Ooh, I'm yours. Only yours. Easy. As they say, extreme joy begets tragedies. I'm sorry, who says that? Who says that? Am I about to write down a quote of something that was thought of during their first fucking scene? Is that what I'm about to do right now? Hang on. Who says... Where did we... Jesus. Who says... Extreme joy begets tragedies. Who the fuck says that? Extreme joy begets tragedies. That obviously sounds like some kind of, Chinese something. What? And he turned to begging. That's not going to help your situation. Take it easy. That's a sensitive spot right there. Oh, don't pound so hard. Ooh, honey, this is just... See, not only would he be good at dirty talk, but he would also accidentally stumble into dirty talk because... You're too strong. You're gonna break me. I'm a little sore. Yeah, that's it. Wei Wuxian hooked his arms around Lan Wangji's shoulders, and his legs moved higher around his waist. His body rocked along with Lan Wangji's as his insides were rearranged. Oh, wow. His skin rubbed against the wild grass, and he gave a soft whine. After he caught his breath with effort, he let his mouth run loose once more. Lan Chan, you're so good. No, seriously. How long do you want this to last, babe? You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're good at playing the guqin, good at calligraphy, strong in spiritual power and cultivation, and so incredible in bed. Why are you so good? Man, do I love you. Lan Wangji was speechless. I'm surprised Lan Wangji didn't, yeah. At a time like this, it was as though Wei Wuxian had been born without shame. It was as though... Well, okay, Wei Wuxian does experience shame about some things. But in general, generally speaking, nah. At a time like this, and the more explicit his words, the more excited he became. Of course he would get off on his own dirty talk. I'm okay. You're the only one I'll let fuck me. You can go as deep as you want. He spread his legs further apart with frank honesty. Go on, put it all the way in. I'm all yours, inside and out. The deeper you are, the more I like it. And you can come inside me, too. He's about to. Wei Wuxian was babbling to the point of forgetting himself when Lan Wangji suddenly dove to a terrifyingly unprecedented depth. Wei Wuxian's eyes widened instantly. He hadn't thought Lan Wangji could actually go any deeper. After letting loose a horrible yelp, he slumped and groaned. Help, no, not like that. That's too much. He wanted to curl up and escape this pounding. Not that Lan Wangji would let him. Also, it's too much now, but believe you me, you'd be amazed at what you can acclimate to in some really incredible ways. He's not that Lan Wangji would let him. He stretched Wei Wuxian out and pinned him in a deadly hold to continue with what had to be done. You... Learning a lot about each other. But now's a moment where I got no other to continue with what had to be done. You get what you deserve, he gasped, savage fury evident in his voice. I got nothing to say. And because I have literally nothing to say, I feel like I'm betraying myself. I'm normal about that. I'm deeply normal about that and what that says about me. Wei Wuxian whimpered as he spread his legs obediently to get fucked. Why is that hot? See, it's the frankness, but in the right places. I'm deeply unwell. Urgaga, I'm gonna die. You're gonna fuck me dead. I was wrong. It's my bad. Don't punish me like this. It's my first time. Be nicer to me. Beads of sweat dripped from the tips of Lan Wangji's hair. A rare trace of shame colored the expression of this cool, aloof man who never faltered in the face of catastrophe. He was on the verge of losing it. Honestly, the fact that he's lasted this long is damn impressive. Especially with Wei Wuxian babbling like that. Are you actually begging for mercy, or are you doing this on purpose? Your waist, stop twisting. Wei Wuxian raised his head and cried at the top of his lungs. Somebody help! Hang Wanjun! Hang Wanjun! I don't dare anymore. Lan Wangji kissed away the tears his thrusts had forced out of Wei Wuxian and gritted broken words through his teeth. Wei Ying, I'm being serious. Stop it. I really can't control myself. I'm scared of. I'm sorry. He still knew to apologize, even in a situation as mortifying as this. His face was flushed and his brows knitted, making him the very picture of contrition. Listening to him made Wei Wuxian's heart so soft and weak that he was reduced to a complete mess. Why are you apologizing? He murmured. Even if you fucked me to pieces, I'll still be happy because you're the one who did it. This is their first time, mind you. This is before they've gotten good at it. The two were damp and glistening from head to toe. Wei Wuxian, shut up, phone. We ain't got time for you. Wei Wuxian was never one to learn his lesson. He just paid dearly for running his mouth, but it didn't take long for him to lose control again and start spewing nonsense in the midst of his gasps. Lanjian, hey, I suddenly realized you're done for. We still haven't done our last wedding vow, so we're not married yet. Ah! Ah! Confirmation at the worst, best possible time. Doing something like this before we're married, do you know what that's called? If your uncle finds out, he'll dunk you in a pig's cage. Now, there's a footnote about that. Referring to that phrase, referring to an archaic punishment for adultery in which both perpetrators are locked in a cage used for transporting pigs and then drowned in a river. Holy shit. That is some dark, dirty talk. Lan Wangji let out an almost ferocious growl. I was already done for. Hit with another vicious thrust, Wei Wuxian threw his head back in both pain and pleasure, exposing his defenseless throat. Lan Wangji bit down. We're best friends after this, by the way. You and I, BFFs. Could not be closer. How could we not be anything other than just besties? We're besties now. You don't learn this type of intimate detail. Well, actually, maybe you do. That's your vibe. That's totally fine. Maybe we'll learn all of this about each other and, you just know this about everybody. So maybe we're still just like casual acquaintances. That's fine. That's fine. That's cool. That's fine. I'm down with that. I'm down for the casual acquaintance. I'm down if we are now bonded for life because we see each other, I'm down for either. Either one's fine. We've bonded is the ultimate, in some way, shape, or form, is the ultimate message. The overwhelming power of the pleasure he felt drove Wei Wuxian to his peak. His mind went blank, and he remained disoriented for a moment after. In his daze, the only thing he could think was, I can't believe I didn't fucking do this with Lanjian when we were 15. So much damn time wasted. At the same time, Lan Wangji embraced him tightly as he came deep inside him. I mean, a round of applause. Can we mark down scores on cards? All we need is a 10. Wei Wuxian raised his slightly limp arm and hugged him back with equal vigor. They embraced each other quietly for a while. When Wei Wuxian regained a bit of energy, he smeared the cum on Lan Wangji's body, feeling fully satisfied. We learn each other's kinks and squicks in equal measure. That's just how it goes. As he spread it around with his finger. He asked, Lan Gongji, when did you start to like me? Like he's twirling his hair. When did you start to like me? It was a terrible time for what he was doing, and a terrible place for it, too. An unnatural look began to return to Lan Wangji's face. If you've liked me for so long, why didn't you fuck me sooner? The mountain at the back of your cloud recesses is a pretty good spot. Jesus, he's already planning spot. Back then, you could have tied me up and dragged me away while I was sneaking around all alone in the wild, and then you could have had your way with me on the grass just like this. He's already spinning fucking fantasies. Or laying plans. Easy. Lan Wangji hadn't even pulled out before he began to move again. How old are they? They're in their early 30s at this point, right? That ain't bad for a man in his early 30s. Hell, that ain't bad for a guy who's 25. Wei Wuxian could feel something hot flowing out of where they were joined. Yeah, you knew that was going to get mentioned. He still continued to spout a non-stop stream of filth in Lan Wangji's ear. You're so strong, I definitely wouldn't have been able to fight back. Oh, yeah, see, now this is just, now we're just spewing, oh yeah, I'm there. If I'd yelled, you could have silenced me. No one would have come to my rescue, even if I lost my voice from screaming. Or, that library pavilion of yours is pretty good too. We could have laid the books out like a bed, rolled around on them, and referenced all the positions from the erotica. Any position you would have liked. I'd have bullied you during the day, and you'd have bullied me at night. We'd close the door and fuck each other into the ground. Urga, mercy, let me go. Okay, I'll stop. You're incredible, you're too strong. I can't take it, I really can't. Stop. They have fallen headfirst into a very specific dynamic. Lan Wangji couldn't bear his teasing at a time like this. This fierce battering was going to turn Wei Wuxian inside out. He softened his tune and began to nicely beg for mercy, but that only made Lan Wangji all the more aggressive. He crushed Wei Wuxian in this way for over an hour. Get you a man. They did not change position even once. Even as Wei Wuxian's waist and hips began to go numb. Given how long they've waited, even though Wei Wuxian was not like consciously aware of how long he was waiting, given how long they've waited, do not fault them. When the numbness passed, he became sore and itchy instead, as if a million insects were gnawing on his bones. I wonder if that means that a certain something has dried on his skin. The pleasure of release gradually dispersed, and what slowly replaced it was a feeling of fullness and pain. Oh, yeah. At last, he reaped what he had sowed. These two little kinky fuckers. Wei Wuxian tried to coax his favor with kisses while pleading without a shred of dignity. Urgaga, please have heart. Let me live. We've still got a whole life ahead of us. You can fuck me again next time. You could hang me up. Ooh, you could hang me up and fuck me. How about that? You're not helping, Wei Wuxian. Let this poor baby virgin go, please. Hang Wanju is almighty. The Yiling patriarch has lost completely. Please finish up inside me already. We'll fight this out again another day. Veins bulged on Lan Wangji's forehead, and he replied with immense difficulty, enunciating each word clearly. If you really want this to stop, then shut up and stop talking. But I was born with a mouth to speak, Wei Wuxian said. Well, now I'm having too much fun. Lan, when I said I wanted to sleep with you every day, can you pretend you never heard me? No. Lan Wangji said, how can you be like this? Wei Wuxian sounded heartbroken. You've never denied me anything before. A small smile played on Lan Wangji's lips. No. The smile made Wei Wuxian's eyes light up in an instant. It made him feel like he was floating. Ooh, stop it! For a moment, he forgot where he was. But in the next moment, he was forced to tears once more by the powerful movements that were jarringly different from that smile, as bright as light reflecting off snow. His hands gripped the grass as he cried at the top of his lungs. Then 4 days! Can we change it to once every 4 days? If 4 days won't do, we could do every 3 days, too. Lan Wangji's voice was both strong and resonant as he declared, Wait! As he declared, every day means every day. What? I mean, first of all, brutal. I'm slain. I am no longer here. But also, I've seen this line out and about in fandom, completely devoid of context, several times. I thought it was something like romantic, which, I mean, you know it is. But I thought it was something, you fucking perverts. Oh my god, I can't believe that's the context for every day means every day? What? And also, what a place to stop, really, for today. We could technically go a little bit further, but this is such a nice, clean place to stop after all the filth. Oh my fucking god. Every day means every day. That's what that fucking means. You guys. I'm done with all y'all. I can't believe. I have no thoughts about anything that just happened. That's going to take me a second. I'm going to have to absorb. We're going to be back at it again next Tuesday, and hopefully by then maybe I'll have some initial, thoughts for the top of the episode. But just very generally speaking, I have no specific thoughts. General thoughts, everything I wanted. Everything I didn't know I wanted but desperately needed. Everything I could have everything, like, if I had written pretty much, almost, very very close. If I had written down a wish list of things, vibes, kinks, tropes, what have you, of what I wanted in this scene for me personally, I got basically all of them. Save for a couple of moments that trip my squick personally, which obviously I don't fault anybody. I'm feeling real spoiled right now. MXTX. She was really like, I'm gonna make you wait like 500,000 words, but then I will give you everything you want. Thoroughly. Unabashedly. What a fucking queen. Pun not realized, but now fully intended. So, that's where we're stopping. When they stop. I did not tell you the page. I am so sorry. We are in the middle of page 164. There is a scene break. Because it cuts to like 3 months later. So, that is where we are picking up next Tuesday. No, excuse me. For you guys get this on Wednesdays and Fridays. I film these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So for me, it will be Tuesday. But for you, it will be Wednesday and Friday as to when these things drop. yeah, I'll see you guys next week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and a weekend. Oh, it's a Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you then. And in the meantime, please remember to take care of yourself.